and entrepreneur straight out of New York City, Michael Chernow. What's cracking?
Got to do the work before you believe. There's three things. It sounds like we're kind of in sync that I really want my daughters to be, and I believe it's a chain reaction, and we're in sync on the last two pieces of the chain reaction. So I want them to be curious, I want them to be confident, and then I want them to be courageous, right? Because I too recognize that chain reaction between confidence building on itself, and then what you can do is you become courageous enough to take bigger risks. You know, confidence is built off smaller risks. You know, courage is what you need for bigger risks.
What up, guys? Welcome back to the Creatures of Habit podcast. Today, I have a couple of guests on the show. We rarely have two guests on the show in one episode. But today, I've got two guys on the show. They are co-founders of a brand, an apparel company, a movement, a community that I love, Few Will Hunt. Few Will Hunt. I'm with Joey Bowen, co-founder, and Drew Beech. These guys are cousins. They came up with this idea, Few Will Hunt, that I'm going to let them tell you more about. I want to learn a little bit more about it because before I'm recording here with you, Joey and I were connecting on what it was that motivated this idea, this concept, Few Will Hunt. I was introduced to Few Will Hunt from my friend Bedros, who said, "Hey, Chernow, you got to go check out what these guys are doing." Put me in touch with Drew, right?
Yeah.
First?
Yeah.
And the guy sent me some gear. I love it. I love the idea. I love the mission. I love the movement. The truth of the matter is that few will fucking hunt, right? Yeah. Like that, and unfortunately that is the way things have been going, right? Hard work is not something that is cherished today nearly as much as it needs to be. People think that, you know, things are just going to end up happening for them. And it's just not true. It's just not true. Social media tries to portray that as truth. The truth of the matter is that it is not true. It doesn't happen overnight. It is always going to take hard work. And I'm so fired up to talk to these guys about that and the habits, the routines and the rituals that help sort of promote the mission of that. So guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us. Appreciate it very much.
Absolutely. I'd love to just hear, before we get going on habits and routines and why and the rituals, let's talk about Few Will Hunt and how it came to be and why it is and why it's been so successful.
Sure. So you hit on it, you know, right when you were speaking. Hard work's in short demand, right? And that left Drew and I feeling alone, really. In 2016, 2017, we were seeing currents in society, in our neighborhoods, in our offices, on our teams, that were the opposite currents that we swim to. We were seeing entitlement. We were seeing a lot of, you know, shortcuts, the victim mentality. You know what I mean? And we felt alone. We're like, look, like it didn't used to be this way. You know, where are all the people at, like us, that still believe in the power of hard work? So, like we were speaking about before the show, we set out to build a community. You know, it was a blog before it was an apparel business, right? And that was 2017. Apparel didn't enter till like 2019. It's funny because now everybody knows us for that. But at our roots, we're a community that's hell-bent on restoring the dignity of hard work. So bringing hard work back to the rank and the respect that it deserves, that it once had in society. So yeah, the world's hardest workers, setting the example. You know
So when you say that, hard work, right? Like when I think about hard work, oh God, so much comes to mind. I'm deeply passionate about hard work. I apply that. And I don't know if I got that from my father, if I got that from my grandfather. You know, I didn't get much from my father because we had such a tumultuous relationship. But I did. There was an old school grit to his lifestyle. He was a trades guy. He was an electrician. Like, you know, there was this idea that, you know, no one's coming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No one's coming. And when you said, you know, this entitlement component.
Yeah.
That we're all, if you're in business today, I believe, I might get shit for this, So I'm putting it out there because I believe it to be true.
Mm-hmm.
There is a sense of entitlement with the younger generation of workers today. There's a sense of, that's not my job.
Yeah.
That's not my job. Like, when I used to hear that, when I grew up working in restaurants, that's not my job would get you a fucking quick finger to the door.
Yeah.
Period. That's it. Oh yeah, that's not your job?
For
Go
sure.
find a place. Go find another job where they're gonna listen to that bullshit.
Yep.
You know.
For sure.
So like, what do you think? Like, how are you guys motivating this community of people to sort of instill that into to make ripple effects, to make waves?
Yeah.
I think it starts with our content every day. Like that is like truly the driver of our mission and our movement, because it's Joey and I's words and thoughts put on the paper every day for other people, other Eagles in the community to hear it and be like, that's how they start their day, and they're like, you know what, I fucking get behind this. Like, let's go. I'm gonna go crush the day. So it starts there, and then it leads into our apparel, and we're outfitting the world's hardest workers through high quality apparel. That's what we like to say. But I think it starts with those two things.
Yeah, it's a physical and a mental outfitting of people, right? And like Drew said, the mental outfitting starts with the content that's rooted really in a psychology, or you could even say stoicism, or a psychology of doing, overcoming, right? A psychology of, that is my job, right? Or no one's coming. Like, all of those concepts run through our content to empower people to get out there and work hard for what they want. That's on the mental side. And then the physical side comes in, and, the hats come in. You have your battle flag for the day, because it's war. It is, day in and day out, working for what you want, and, working to build the life that you desire for your family and for those that you love. It's war. So these are the battle flags, what we put on as reminders of all of the concepts that are coming through in our content. So it's a physical and mental outfitting.
One thing that I've said for so long, and it's definitely a quote that I've coined, there's only one way to get from want to have. There's only one way. That's the truth. There's only one way to do, right? So want plus have equals do. Want plus do equals have. And that piece, that do piece, the do piece is, I believe, where most people get lost, right? So what you guys are doing, I think, is incredible in getting people to start thinking about that. Like, when I heard Fuel Hunt, when I just heard it, I was like, I get it. I get it.
You get it.
I get it.
You're so right about the doing part, like that gap, especially the gap between knowing and doing, like that performance gap. Like, what you need to do. Doing it is another story. There's one thing that makes the doing easier, and that's surrounding yourself with the right people.
With the doers.
With the right people that are on similar journeys. And maybe they're not similar on the surface, but deep down they are. You know what I mean? And that's what we're, one of the things, be a doer. That's one of, like, the big mantras in the community. Be an earner, be a doer. It's
when I spoke to the crew, whatever it was, like a month ago.
Yeah.
There was a guy that was on there. I forgot his name, but he touched me so, like, and he and I DM now all the time on Instagram.
nice.
It was definitely Kev, right?
Kev.
Was it Kev?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
Kev.
he, like, his fortitude, that guy, his ability to just say, fuck it. Like, I might not have everything that you have. I might have a few challenges, but that is just, it has zero impact on stopping me from going after what I want.
Yeah, he's so dialed in. Like, the thing he says, his foundation, your limit is your own. And it's so true. He is so dialed in. We have weekly calls in Rise. He is one of the most consistent. He's always there. And he's not just there to learn and grow. He's there to lift other people up, which is so special about him.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that, that community, right? Like, the word community is a lot today, right? It's everywhere.
Everybody's got one.
Everyone's got a community.
And community is honestly, unfortunately, what used to make the world go round And now community is so hard to not only build, but sustain because people are so inconsistent.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And distracted, both. It's the inconsistency and also the distraction. You know, how do you build a foundation of anything, physical, mental, whatever, if you're distracted constantly?
So how do you go from this empowerment and this motivation and these like moments of for people that connect with your brand, these moments of like open the window, air came in, oh my gosh, wait, I didn't even know that was I didn't even know that existed. That little moment of grace that like you guys are doing for people.
Yeah.
How do you take that moment of grace to get somebody to be like, oh wait, I feel different, but hold it, because I think that is the hard. That's that discipline component, right? Like we heard a lot about motivation for years, and now the conversation is like, oh yeah, motivation is going to get you so far. It's about the discipline. So what is is it just like getting enough people involved that are just like screaming about this?
I think it's strength of community, right? Because like, you know, holding on to that moment and then replicating that moment over and over again and being consistent and growing, what it requires is really like recognition and praise sometimes. Like if you're in a strong community and you have that moment and the people around you say, look, that's what you were working for and you're here, hold on to it, exactly what you're saying. I think that's the key component. It's that support system that they need. And like I said, everybody has a community, but Fuel Hunt has that. And that's what keeps us going. That's what keeps the community growing. That's what keeps community members meeting up. You know, we had 3 community members meet up, 2 or 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
That had been, you know, fast friends through the community and had been friends for years in the community, all met up in Texas, all got Fuel Hunt tattoos together. Everybody's you know, sending things. Because everybody, they get each other, and they each want the other person to win, and I think that's what helps you hold on to that moment. It's the support system.
Totally.
Yeah.
Wanting your comrades, wanting your friends to win.
Yeah. And if I did it, you can too. You know, thanks for the praise, but you know, I did this. Here's how I did it. Sharing the knowledge. You know, these days sucked. These days were good. I see you're at a sticking point. Let me help you out. I've been there. You know, it's that support system, that's that community. So, like you said, it's hard to build, it's hard to sustain, but when you have it, it's so powerful.
Totally.
So powerful.
I think to touch, it goes back to your initial statement of that when you heard the phrase Fuel Hunt, like there's a certain level of pride to being an Eagle or a certain level of pride to being one of the few. So you don't want to let your team down, right? Like you never want to be like, oh, I mailed it in today and like my team lost because of it. So when you put on your Fuel Hunt shirt or Fuel Hunt hat for the day, you're ready to get after it. So like either you hear the phrase Fuel Hunt and you're like, I fucking get that. Like either you want it or you don't. Either you're an Eagle or you're not.
Yeah.
There's definitely an unspoken, well, we do have weekly accountability calls, but there's definitely also an unspoken accountability amongst the few. You know, even if some of the Eagles don't have a super close connection like the 3 Eagles that I just mentioned, they know that there's people out there that are just like them in their position and they're working hard for what they want, and there's that accountability there, and they're like, fuck it, I'm gonna get after it. You know,
it perfectly segues into the premise of this podcast, right? The premise of the podcast is to discuss really habits. And the reason why I was so passionate about not only creating Kreatures of Habit, the brand, you know, giving people easy to implement nutritional habits to start their days, but it brings it back to that like consistency component, right? Like everything great took hours, days, weeks, years, decades to develop consistently over and over and over. Every great thing on the planet.
Yep.
Nothing was born great. It just, you know, like, or maybe that's the greatest moment of everybody's life. Right when they come out, it's like the most pure, greatest moment of your life, right? You've just been brought into the world. Now you got to earn it.
Yep.
Right? Like, boom, great. 5 seconds. Now it's time to earn. And I my morning habits and my morning routine are what inspired this podcast, right? Creatures of Habit is a brand that I created because I really wanted to be able to help people with habits that I've implemented, going from an addict to recovery and then ultimately freedom and happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And the podcast, Creatures of Habit, is really there to uncover a bunch of different things that people that have inspired me do on a regular basis consistently. Because it's literally like my son is like, Dad, I want to play basketball. And I was like, okay, you've got to stand here. I'll pass you the ball, but you've got to shoot the basketball 100 times every afternoon from the same spot.
Yep.
And you got to get good at doing it from right here. It's going to be boring. It's right under the hoop.
Yeah.
But this is how we're going to do it because that 100 is going to turn into 500, and that 500 is going to turn into 1,000, and that 1,000 is going to turn into 10,000, and then 100,000 over time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same fucking thing, but it just gets better and better and better and better, and that is how you build greatness, right? That is how you build confidence. I have been so focused on this idea that you do the same thing over and over again. Hopefully, it's a great thing. You do the same thing over and over again, and you get better at it. That better develops confidence. That better and commitment develops confidence. Confidence, believe it or not, develops confidence. Right? Like confidence develops confidence. That is how that shit works.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, once you get enough confidence, after confidence developing confidence, well, now you've got courage.
Mm-hmm.
And anything that you want. Literally, when you sit down with a group of guys or group of friends and you're like, I want this, I want that. Anything that you say, I want, is going to require courage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just going to require courage.
For sure.
Because if you didn't want it, you would already have it.
Yep.
And you don't have it because it's fucking hard to get.
Yeah.
And hard is courage.
Yep.
Work comes before the belief, we always say. That's one of our favorites.
Yeah, you got to do the work. Got to do the work before you believe. There's three things. It sounds like we're kind of in sync that I really want my daughters to be, and I believe it's a chain reaction, and we're in sync on the last two pieces of the chain reaction. So I want them to be curious, I want them to be confident, and then I want them to be courageous, right? Because I too recognize that chain reaction between confidence building on itself, and then what you can do is you become courageous enough to take bigger risks. Confidence is built off smaller risks. Courage is what you need for bigger risks. And for me, I'm a big curiosity guy. So I feel like curiosity is the root trait, the desire. I want that. Okay, how can I get that? Why do I want that? What is it exactly? What will I do with it when I get it? So it's that chain, that curiosity, that confidence, that courage. We've never spoken about that. We're in sync on that.
I think that the repetition is what really, the daily repetition is where the question that I asked you guys about discipline, even if it's one thing, and that's why I feel like this podcast is powerful, because there's, I'm going to ask you guys right after this soliloquy what you guys do in the morning, because it's so important. It's not about touting yourself about doing 50 things every single morning in the cold and the hot, the push-ups and the workout and the reading, the writing, the journal, all of it. It's all great. But if somebody listening here is able to say, I've never tried that, maybe that's the thing that I can commit to. That one thing. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's for me, the first thing I do every single morning, the first thing I do without fail, it's uncomfortable. It's easy. It costs nothing. I fucking smile. It's the first thing I do.
Yeah, you said that.
It's it.
Yeah.
If that I've shared with many people, and that one thing doesn't change everybody's life, but it has changed a few people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's it, you guys mentioning that one thing that someone's listening, being like, oh my God, I'm going to try that. And then boom, you just fucking rock the world.
Yeah.
So let's get into, let's hear some morning routine stuff.
Mine's simple. It's probably going to be a little underwhelming for you, but there's method to my madness. I can foresee that maybe there's more steps to both of yours. So my morning routine is 2 steps, very straightforward. drink water, do work. So I wake up every morning. I drink 32 ounces of warm water from the same stainless steel cup. I put the water in the cup the night before. I put it on my kitchen counter. I put my laptop next to that, right? So I get up in the morning, I drink that water, I open the laptop. It's get shit done or daily attack plan time. Get shit done is B's thing. Daily attack plan is my thing. That's my morning routine, literally. Now, the work that I do is work that I've planned the night before. So I'm a big planner, Drew will tell you. You know, planning is very important to me, and I think it's the key to everything that I am and I will be. But my morning routine is pretty simple, and that's like a 2 to 3 hour block of time where it's daily attack plan time. I'm focusing on the needle movers that we need for the community, and then all the way up until my daughters wake up. So my morning routine is very, 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 very short, straightforward. Now there's other exercises that I implement, like the planning and gratitude and stuff throughout the day.
So we're going to get into that. Yeah. I want to talk about that and also your evening routine.
Yep.
But Drew, what do you got in the morning?
Mine's a little different. I start with also water though. I think you gotta hydrate first. Then I get sunlight and grounding in. That's very important to me. I feel like my life truly changed when I started seeing the morning sun. And then
what does that look like for you?
Go outside and I do Ramwad or pliability it is now, if you've ever heard of that. Mm-hmm. Like a little bit of stretching, get moving, get the blood flowing. And then
do you do that in the wintertime outside too?
Yeah, actually I do. I get that cold therapy. There's cold shock proteins.
Mm.
But also I do the 5-minute journal. You ever heard of that? The 5-minute gratitude journal. And that was a super implemental practice in my life that I write in there what I am grateful for that I currently have, as well as what I want to have. Start to manifest that stuff in my life, and I became a lot of the things that I wrote in that journal, you know.
Journaling, you know, is something that I have done on and off. Get that fly out of here. What is that one fly just won't leave it alone, man. It's journaling has been so powerful in my life and for long since the time, and then in moments like right now, I'm not journaling, and you know, I hear you say it, and it makes me want to open up my journal.
You ever try the 5-minute journal?
I did. That was my first foray with journaling.
Yeah. I just buy a new one every time.
It's just like that simple book. You beat the crap out of it.
Yeah.
It's 1 page. I like it. One thing that I've done with journaling that was given to me from a mentor a few years ago, probably 3 or 4 years ago, was, and I created this in the Creatures of Habit journal. In the back of the journal, there's a fear page, like a fear inventory page, and this mentor that I was doing some work with, he basically said, "Look, man, like, not every day, but every few days or once a week, check in on your fears. Like, ask yourself, maybe on a Sunday morning when there's not a lot of stress going on, because stress could be construed as fear, and you know it might be confusing. So try to do it in a less stressful environment, like a Sunday morning. Check in on your fears. Ask yourself what is going on in the fear basket, and then write them out. Write out, like, you know, July, whatever it is. I am fearful of. It's like super simple. And if you want to dive into it a little deeper because of this thing, blah 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 blah. And so he had me do that every week. And sometimes I do it a couple of times a week. Sometimes I just do it once a week. And he never said anything about it. And then 3 months in, he was like, "All right, dude, let's go back to day 1 of your fear stuff." And he's like, "Read me the fears." And I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, read them to me." Start reading the fears. He stops me like probably, I don't know, 2 pages in, and he goes, "Go back to the front. I want you to draw a line through all the fears that came true, that actually came to fruition." I was like, that one didn't happen. That didn't happen. That one didn't happen. That one scared the shit out of me. That one didn't happen either. And he was like, not a lot of them come true. A lot of the shit that you spend time worried about that keeps you from hunting are made up in your fucking head, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
I mean, it's how we're wired as humans, right? Like, you know, we're wired to survive. So we're wired sometimes to think about worst case scenarios and, you know, protect ourselves. And, with how we've evolved, that gets out of control now.
Totally.
Yeah. Another great thing about like writing down those fears is it releases some of the power in the moment. Like that exercise is great,
Totally.
the long-term one. But in the moment, it releases a little bit of the power that the fear has over you. You're kind of like, okay, I've got this. It's out here now.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just rolling around and rattling around in here. Like it's on paper.
Getting it out on
You know
paper.
what I mean?
What about some day-to-day habits, practices that you guys do to stay focused, organized, on top of your game?
Yeah. So for me, like I said, planning. So I plan my day every day. I plan it the night before. I use Daily Attack Plan. That's a tool that we offer to the community. It's free with Rise. There's some gratitude built in there and some goal setting as well. But I am a religiously plan my days. So that's definitely the biggest habit for me. Reading's another one. My day planning I've been doing for probably 2 decades. Over
Wow.
20 years.
So what does that look like? So how do you break that one down?
Yeah, so it's evolved over the years, right, into Daily Attack Plan. There's a gratitude exercise that happens, right? Now my gratitude exercise is actually sending either videos or voice notes to my daughters. I send them to their own email addresses. I find that instead of having like a gratitude list or another type of gratitude exercise, the action of me speaking to them helps me be really grateful for where I'm at, regardless of my circumstances. So that's my gratitude exercise right now. Then the actual doing, there's 3 to 5 things that must get done, that day. After that, there's 3 to 5 things that must not get done. It's the not to-do list. So there's the to-do list and there's the not to-do list, the rules, That could be anything. It could be something like, today I'm not going to be fearful of the shit that's going on. Or it could be something much more tactical, like, hey, I'm limiting social media exposure to 35 minutes today. There's a rule counterpart, there too. So they're the 3 core things, really. That's what the planning looks like. And the gratitude exercise is spread throughout the day. Sometimes I do it in the afternoon. Sometimes I do it in the evening before I plan my day.
Cool.
The following day.
What about you, Drew? Do you have any tactical habits that you do throughout the day to keep you?
I gotta move, sauna plunge. I try and do it every single day, but every other worst case scenario. I also time block my day after I read The Perfect Day Formula from Keurig Ballantyne, if you're familiar with that.
No, but we should link to that.
Yeah, highly recommend. The Perfect Day Formula.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, like Joey said, you time block your day, so you know that, like, I know that all my calls will be between this time every day. My GSD, my Daily Attack Plan gets done. Then I started that when Joey and I started business together, because he's like, yo, we got this tool, Daily Attack Plan, and it literally fucking changed my life. You put down on that list, I don't know if Joey mentioned, but 5 critical tasks you have to get done that day to move the needle. So it's not like workout. Like you got to get moving. Like that's just baseline. But it'll be a needle moving task to get you further in life or in business with family, etc. Time blocking, movement, and a sauna and plunge I like to do. So that's that pretty much takes up my entire day. So.
I feel like time blocking has, like, my calendar in my phone is nuts. Like it's and the way I have been able to build it out is because I believe time blocking is the only way to be successful. I really do. I think, like, if you're not building out chunks of time that are only computer-focused work, only meeting-focused work, if they blend into each other, it's chaotic. Chaos generates anxiety. Anxiety takes you from 100% to 80%. And then once that anxiety starts to compound, you're performing at like 50%.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's if like a meeting gets scheduled into my get shit done time, that 3 hours where it's like, yo, no phone, no people, I am only focused on getting these things done, absolutely necessary. I will not take a meeting. It doesn't matter who it is. If an investor is like, I need to speak with you, I'm like, I appreciate that. I am so sorry.
Yep.
Like, I cannot deviate from this plan because once I start deviating, it's over.
Life takes over.
Yeah.
Grabs the wheel.
Yeah.
I think time blocking is essential, right? And Daily Attack Plan is basically what it is to a certain degree. I think people go wrong because they time block in small chunks.
Totally.
And it's not sustainable.
3
15
hours.
minutes, I'm going to do this. Next 25 minutes, I'm going to do that. You're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
So I have 3 wide blocks. I have a morning block. I have a day, right, block that stretches late morning to late afternoon. And then I have an evening block.
Yeah.
And that's the way to do it. And you hold the boundary.
It makes
Totally.
life real simple because like someone wants to schedule a call, you're like, okay, I can take it this time.
Mhm.
Like you just know
Yep.
that's
Yeah.
your time for calls. And then, like I always say, like no is a full sentence too. Like you know what I mean. So like if someone says like, I need you at this time, it's like sorry, like no. Like,
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, the way I break it down schedule-wise is between 5 a.m. and 6:30. That is my unlimited, selfish, self-indulgent, only Mike Chernow time because no one else is around.
yeah.
Family's sleeping, right?
Same.
6:30 to 8. No Mike Chernow time. Only family time. Only wife, kids, hanging out with them, being there for them as a dad. 8 to 10. That's my time to open up the computer and just start being proactive, trying to write emails, get to stuff. That's when I post on social media. That's like the proactive time where I'm actually moving the needle forward.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
10 to 12, that's when I train. That's my fitness time, right?
Mhm.
I used to feel so bad about training at 10 a.m., and now I'm like, no, like this is the time. Like I'm getting a solid, 5 hours worth of productivity work between my fitness, my habits, my family, and my work. I'm gonna go train now. So I train from 10 to 12, and then from 12 to 3, that's another like pretty much GSD. But that's when I'm responding. That's when I'm
Yeah.
like. That's when I'm like going into my emails and I'm looking and seeing who wrote me and I'm responding back to them.
Yeah.
And then from 3 to 5:30, that's straight meeting time.
Mhm.
And then from 5:30 on, straight family.
Mhm.
And I look at my days like that, and I appreciate you saying that. Like, don't time block 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Schedule a meeting for 15 minutes, but don't like give yourself not enough time to actually get like a body of work done.
Yep. Yeah, there's transition time. Like, not all time is created equal. Like you're saying, some is reactive, some is proactive. Some time is for creativity. Sometimes it's for community, if it's a meeting or something like that. So like, yeah, the wide time blocks. That's the way to do it for
I
sure.
learned that proactive, reactive separation from this guy Jay Ferrugia,
Mhm.
and I had him on my podcast a long time ago, and he said, like I spend the beginning of my day totally proactive. It's all proactive. It's like moving the ball forward.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because if I start my day responding to people,
Yep.
that's like I'm like you don't want to walk into the ring on your heels.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You want to be on your toes, like moving, like controlling the ring.
You're already in chaos at that point. Like you wake up and you just get thrown into chaos.
Yeah.
Like,
In the morning when you wake up, you have the most willpower, the most creativity, the most, so it makes sense that time should be your proactive time. Rolling over and picking up your phone and just starting to absorb and starting to react is like the worst thing that you can ever do. Like worst
I
thing.
will say, like, you can call me anytime because our schedules are pretty synced up. So, like, when I have downtime, when I don't.
Yeah. It's very similar. So, yeah. We could.
What do you guys like to do for wind down? Do you have a wind down routine that you stick to?
Yeah. So my training, I train every day. That's not in my morning routine. It's in the afternoon. I train at the same time. Jiu-jitsu 11 a.m. and then weight training at 1. You know what I mean? And then after that GST, and then after that it's family time, and then after that it's the wind down, which planning tomorrow is the first step, which is basically the end of my last wide time block of work, and then reading. And
you
then
read at night?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I read at night because it helps the wind down for me personally. Reading and then sleep. If I do like to get in some meditation as I go off to sleep, but sometimes the jiu-jitsu training is hard enough that once the book's done, like the sleep's right there waiting for me, But, simple 3 steps: plan tomorrow, read, sleep, that's it.
Cool. I'm actually listening to Hicks and Gracie's book right now.
Nice.
Breathe. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
What about you, Drew?
So sometimes we're in the season of business where second shift does have to start at like 8, 9 o'clock. I try, like I don't enjoy that, but like it's got to get done. It's got to get done. But when I'm not, I do like to. One thing I stopped doing recently was I stopped training at night. Stopped training jiu-jitsu at night, and I moved it to daytime training because I wanted to spend more time, like more family nights. You know what I mean? Like that family night time at night is so magical. And I stopped allowing the TV to be on after dinner. So the one thing we do at dinner every night is gratitude, best part of your day, worst part of your day. That was a game changer for myself and my family. And then one thing my son and I do is we red light and then do like a breath work and a gratitude journal at night. So I got him on that.
That's cool.
And it's like a 10 to 12 minute like breath work session, and he's just like, it's funny because like we do a lot of like just like wind down release stuff, and I'll be like, hey, what did you release? Like what was on your mind? And he's like, I don't know.
How old is he?
He's 7.
That's cool that you got him into that.
Yeah.
I'm so bummed, man, because for years we had this rosebud and thorn thing that we did every night with the family around the table.
Mm-hmm.
What was awesome today?
Yeah.
What was not awesome today?
Sure.
And what are you looking forward to? Like one thing that you're stoked
nice.
about.
Sure.
And now, like my older son, he's 8, but he feels he's too cool, man.
Oh, no, don't
He's-
tell me that.
dude. I'm telling you.
We
like,
have.
He's not only does he not want to do the rosebud and thorn anymore, but he's like, Dad, come on, man. I'm like, bro, come on, dude. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, I love doing this. I'm 42, man. Like, I'm not growing out of this.
For sure.
He's like, Dad, come on, man. I'm like, dude, he doesn't. We have this evening routine that we've been doing since they're born, and his younger brother still loves it, and Finn still loves it.
Yeah.
But like they say these things to me, these values that I've been saying to them every single night, and we've been saying it every single night. Every night that I put him down, I say, all right, guys, give me the 13, and
This is powerful. He said
Yeah.
this on the Rise call. Like, he said this, and I was like,
yeah, dude. Well, it's something that I never got. No one ever, And so they're so young that they probably don't understand the grasp of what these values are.
Yeah.
But Finn, I'm like for the last month or so, he's like, Dad, man, I'm just really. Do I have to say the 13? I'm like, dude, unfortunately, you do.
Yep.
You got to say the 13. Your brother's gonna say it. You got to say it.
probably ripped your heart right out of your chest.
dude.
When my daughter's at 7 now, but I'm hoping that when she gets to 8, there isn't any resistance. But I think it's natural, right? It's the ebb and flow type thing. We have something similar we do around the table. It's 4 questions. What you work hard on today? What made you happy? So I'm trying to link the hard work and happiness thing in their tiny little brains, which is working. Sometimes they're the same thing, and I'm like, you see. And then were you kind to everybody, and was everybody kind to you? Not nice, kind. Just to touch on that as well. And they're still like hard in on it. Like they kick it off every night at the dinner
really?
table. So I'm hoping that 8 doesn't bring, regression. But like I said, natural ebb and flow.
Yeah, I think with that stuff in the kids, like, he also loved going frog hunting with me up until this summer. And now he's like, Dad, I want to just collect Pokemon cards.
Well, now I'm nervous for 8, dude. Thanks.
Changes.
What?
Changes.
Now I'm nervous.
Yeah,
For
I
8.
mean,
Changes.
it's so interesting to see it, because like I know, just like anything else, right? I have no control. I can't control what these. I can't control what these guys want. You know what I mean? What they do, I can't control that. But we can be, and you can be, an awesome example.
Yep.
Yeah.
To not only kids as parents, but just like what you guys are doing with Fuel Hunt, right? Like you guys are saying, hey, not enough people are actually putting a highlight on this idea that it is going to take hard work, and that is awesome. You should be proud of that. Like the days of coming home after a long day of work and feeling like accomplished, like actually tired,
One of the no better pleasure in life than progress.
Yeah.
That's like one of my mantras. I live by it. No better pleasure than progress. It's truth. It feels great. Take care of the present day. Tomorrow's taken care of.
Guys, this is an awesome time. I really appreciate you coming up from Philly to have this conversation. And I love Fuel Hunt. I love. Not only do I love the gear, I wear it all the time, but I love the mission. I think. I very rarely get into politics. I don't.
Yeah.
But we all know what the conversation is right now, and working hard should not be something that is looked down on.
First principle. It's a first principle. You know, we want to see everybody in the community succeed, and the only way to get there is through hard work. We love having you in the community. You know, we love seeing you rocking our gear. We're grateful for this opportunity, you know, to be on your show. So thank you. Thank you.
How can everybody find you and potentially join the community?
Come join the community on Instagram at FewWillHunt or FewWillHunt.com.
Sweet. You guys are the best. Thank you.
We try.
Another epic episode on the Creatures of Habit podcast. You guys are the best for tuning in. I really, really appreciate it. Do me a favor, please share this podcast. Please share this podcast with someone that you think will appreciate it, someone that you love, someone that you care about, or make this the burying of the hatchet with someone that you're battling with. Send them this podcast and say, hey, listen to this. Made me think of you. Let's connect for a cup of coffee. Game changer. If you're really feeling up to it, write a review and give me a 5-star rating. That would be awesome too. But really, ultimately, I'm so appreciative of you guys tuning into this podcast week in and week out. I love doing it. Your participation makes it possible. So, you heard it here. Our habits determine our happiness or not. Until the next one, y'all. Peace.